Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Terry James Gingras, and this is Dr. G's ADHD Chat. I am a clinical psychologist and neuropsychologist, and I'm in private practice, and most of my practice has to do with ADHD. Right now, I do a lot of evaluations and less therapy than I used to. And the show, the aim of this show is to make the world a little bit safer for ADHD. God knows we've got a whole bunch of stuff going on right now, and the folks who are parents of ADHD kids, well, God bless you, sir or madam. You are given a job that not many people truly understand, and you don't get the option of resigning. Okay, we are in the midst of this whole coronavirus thing, and I want to talk just a little bit about how it's going to affect ADHD families more so than other families. But I'm going to quote the immortal philosopher Tommy Lee Jones in Men in Black. And he's talking to the Will Smith character, and they're debating about how individuals react and so on. And Tommy Lee says, "A person is smart. People are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals, and you know it." That's not the most positive attitude about people in general, but when you go out and you see that people's response to a flu that is primarily respiratory, and their solution is to buy up every square of toilet tissue they can find, I think you gotta wonder. Let's just put it that way. I think you just have to wonder, what in the world are you going to do with that much toilet paper? But that's what we're seeing. We're seeing panic. We're seeing people doing stuff without thinking. And that's what happens. You know, as a neuropsychologist, I know how your brain works when you're afraid, when you're panicky. The thinking part of your brain, which is the cerebral cortex, that's the outer part, that shuts down, and you're left with the limbic lobe, which is the emotional response part. And all you do is you do habit stuff. You do the same thing over and over without thinking about it, without really looking at the consequences, and without trying to decide if it makes any sense. You do it because it makes the feeling go away a little bit. You know, I've got 20 packages of toilet paper. I feel so much better. I'm better prepared. Well, of course, that's nonsense. And that's as an ADHD parent, or as a person with ADHD yourself, you know that the big deal is to try to stay calm, try to stay focused, try to think about what's going on and try to come up with a solution. All you adult ADHDers out there, you've had to learn to do that. And if you're really successful, as a person, as a citizen of this country, then you've really learned how to do that well. But I think there are some just kind of general rules. I mean, we're all in a situation none of us has been in before. I mean, this is unprecedented. My God, we don't have March Madness. Where I live, that's hypocrisy of the highest order. And we don't have the NBA. We don't. Who knows what the rest of the year is going to look like? But it is definitely going to be something we've never seen before, and that's the way it is. And that's what we've got to focus on. That's why we've got to remember this is a flu, people. Flu. We've all had the flu. We've all gone through different renditions, if you will, of the flu. By and large, most of us survive. Folks who are fragile in some way, but those are the ones that die off. And we've had deaths right in the area where I live, and it's from people who didn't make it out of the country. They were exposed here somehow, and we still don't know that because we didn't get on the ball as a society, as a government, didn't get on the ball early enough on this and start testing so we knew where it was coming from and where the centers were of exposure, so on and so forth. So we're trying to play catch up right now. And that's a bad thing. That's always a bad thing. Lack of preparation it's a killer. It really is. And we've had a lot of that in our government. But let's not get all political. But the deal you've got to keep reminding yourself of is the facts. What are the facts? What is actually going on? Okay, not how people are responding or any of that stuff, but what's going on. And the fact is, there's a new kind of flu out there, and it has some mortality, but it is not an overwhelming number, And the only thing that we're worried about now is just widespread exposure to the whole society, and that would cause us some problems. But of course, shutting everything down is going to cause us some problems. And for those of you where the whole family, where both adults work, you're going to have a real problem, because child care. If you are counting on the schools to take the kids, from the morning to mid-afternoon, 5 days a week, and you don't have other options, and maybe your kids are in after-school programs until 5:30 or 6 o'clock. I don't know, but I know that when they shut all this stuff down, all of a sudden, it creates a huge problem for parents who both have to work, and especially if neither one of you has the kind of job that you can work from home. And honestly, working from home is one of those probably executive level jobs where you can just sit on your computer and pretty much do your regular job. So if you're more of a service oriented kind of thing, if you're a chef, if you run a restaurant, if you run a small store, if you run a sporting goods store, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. You've got to figure out some way to take care of your kids. And that's going to be a major issue. So I got a few things I want to remind you of for how to handle this or any other kind of stressful situation that may be ongoing. Number one is focus on the facts. Always focus on the facts. What exactly do I know? And what are the realistic consequences? And, you have to have at least some part of you has got to say, we will get through this. We have always gotten through everything before. The stock market will come back up. It always has. The economy will get back on track. It usually does. There are going to be some people who are going to be really punished by this. There's no doubt about it. Some people are going to go out of business because of this stuff. Okay, but odds are they will adapt and adjust and get right on it and do something a little different than they did before. Maybe a little better than they did before. I have no way of knowing that. Okay, that's number one. Number two is you got to focus on yourself, especially in the home environment. What are you projecting? Okay? As the adult, or one of the adults in the family, you've got a responsibility to try to stay as calm as possible. to project an adult, rational, problem-solving sort of approach to all of this stuff. Because understand, you are not going to know the answers. You're going to have to make stuff up. It's just, like I said, it's not a situation any of us have been in before. We don't know exactly what's going to happen next. You know, I said I have a private practice. Okay, I do. Come Monday, I'm not sure what I'm going to find. Because it kind of, we're getting trickles of information. We're not getting the whole picture at once. Well, that makes sense because nobody's got the whole picture at once. So I'm going to go in. I don't know if my staff is going to be able to make it in. I don't know if my patients are going to make it in. I don't know. But one thing I do know, either way, I will adapt and adjust to it. It may be that the smartest thing for me to do and other people in my situation to do is just to take at least a couple of weeks totally off and let the situation stabilize. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But I will decide. And we will do it based on the information we have. And that's what you've got to do. You also have an additional agenda that you have to follow. And that is, what are you projecting at home? You know, you've got kids, some of whom may be prone to depression or prone to anxiety. You've got to project a calm demeanor. You've got to be calm and focused and, we're going to get through this. It'll be all right. It might be a little bit different. We're going to change things around some probably. And of course, that's a bit of a problem with an ADHD kid. And so, but that's what you've got to do. You've got to present as a calm, matter-of-fact sort of person who's looking at what's going on, not expecting to have an instant answer, but knowing that you'll work out the solutions to the problems as they come. And if you're not sure about all that, fake it. Okay? Your job is not going to be made any easier by having a whole bunch of upset household members, because you're freaking out. Okay? So calm yourself down, stay focused on the facts, present a calm demeanor. Okay? And the next thing, and on the home front especially, is have some kind of structure. Okay? The worst thing you can do is just treat it like it's a major vacation, because you'll have a hard time getting back on track whenever it is that you have to actually get on track, and especially your kids, when they have to get back on track and go back to school and da-da-da-da-da. So try to maintain a structure, okay? And try to not let it get out of hand so people are doing exactly what they want whenever they want to do it, because your ADHDer will be up all night playing video games or that sort of thing. So probably the biggest thing is to have regular bedtimes. Don't change the bedtimes. Go back, start them up the same way you always start them, or to going to bed, starting the bedtime routine, and get up the same time. I mean, you can give or take an hour or so on the getting up thing, but it's still, you want to make sure that the routine doesn't get too far out of whack, because honestly, nobody knows how long this is going to last. You may be through this in a couple of 3 weeks. You may be through it in a month. You don't know. So you've got to be ready to get back on the regular schedule as much as possible. One thing I would recommend, particularly for ADHD families, is that you get those kids as much physical exercise as you can. Go for a walk in the park, go play some ball, do something. Try to not get too much exposure to large groups, but they have to get some exercise to kind of stay cool so that their bodies are basically generating the neurotransmitters that they need to try to have a little focus, okay? So exercise is a real important component to that. And then the biggest thing is stuff's going to change. It's changed every day this week. And last week, come to think of it, it's all changing, and we don't know what to expect or when to expect it, but it's all changing, and we have to be ready to adapt and adjust to that. We have to understand that things are going to change, things are going to be different. Things will definitely not run a consistent pattern. You know, some stores will totally close down, some stores will stay open, some services we're used to getting will keep going. I got my newspaper this morning, hey, and some won't. You know, some will be discontinued. Who knows? Postal service? I don't know. There's a lot of people working in one building. They could decide that it makes more sense to close down and delay delivering the mail. I don't know. That's the point. I don't know. You don't know. We don't know. We've just got to be ready to respond. And the best way to be ready to respond is to be as calm as possible. So whatever you do to help yourself relax, whether you're a meditator or you listen to classical music or you exercise, you know, whatever you do, it's important for you to stay calm, stay focused, and respond in an adult way, in a calm way. Okay, you know, I mean, this is it's going to be a little bit more of a strain for ADHD families because ADHDers typically don't like it when you change the routine too much. And boy, are we going to... We've already seen a bunch, and we're probably going to see more of a change in routines. Your job is to try to maintain a structure, try to make sure that they're taking care of themselves, at least physically, and preferably emotionally as well. And you pay attention to what you contribute. You know, people a lot of times will ignore that. I don't know what there is, but he has a temper tantrum every time I come home angry. You might have a part of that. So look at the whole environment and look at your piece of it too. Okay, that is it for this week. I'm Dr. Terry James Gingras, and this has been Dr. G's ADHD Chat. And this is the program for making the world safe for ADHD. Because remember, nobody who's a compliant thinker ever changed the world. But you folks who have outside-the-box thinkers, they're the ones that are going to change the world. They're the ones that are going to solve the big problems. So be good to them. Help them grow up to be reasonably confident, persistent people who are able to focus on goals and stay with it. Alrighty, we will catch you next time.